This is church. We just enjoy having fun. We enjoy laughing. We enjoy being able to celebrate really cool, amazing things. And when we were preparing for this weekend, I was thinking, you know what? I have always wanted to have a six-pack. I've never had a six-pack. I have always wanted to have muscles. And so, you know what? When we had to pick out our costumes to celebrate serving, I was like, you know what? I am definitely going to get the one with muscles built in because this costume has been amazing. Next week, if you show up, and you see me on stage and I still have muscles like this, it's probably because my PVC student shirt is over the costume because I liked it that much. But this week, we're here and we're talking about how serving is something that we celebrate here. That if you serve here at PVC students, if you serve in PVC Kids, Palm Valley Church, we want to celebrate you. You are the real superhero. We are so thankful for you. But the reality is that serving, it has a huge impact because serving, it's not natural, it's supernatural. And when you think of superheroes, they have supernatural abilities, right? They got like laser eyes or super strength, invisibility, Mrs. Stretch, Wonder Woman. You have all of these amazing supernatural abilities. And I believe that every person in this room, you have the ability to do something supernatural with your life. You have the ability to step out of the natural and do something supernatural. And the really cool thing, and why we're having this weekend, is because we're celebrating the fact that so many of you are already doing that. Because, see, inside of life, when we're born as a little baby. Now, how many of you guys have, like, younger siblings? Maybe you got, like, babies in the home, or you babysat babies, or a while ago you had a baby. Now, babies, they are incredibly selfish, right? They're like, I want to eat. I want my mom or dad. I have a poopy diaper. They think the whole world revolves around them. They are very selfish. And the reality is, inside of life, we too, when we're being the way we are naturally made, we're selfish. We're selfish and we say, you know what, it's all about me. Well, I'm not comfortable. Well, I don't like that. Well, I want the spotlight to be on me. You see, naturally, we have this desire to be selfish. But if we want to step from the natural and we want to come over to the supernatural, then we have to begin to be selfless. I look around this room, and there are so many students and adults that are being selfless. They've gone from the natural, it's all about me, to the selfless, which is the supernatural. And they've done that through taking the step of beginning to serve. They've said, it's not about me. I want to help a little kid when they come to church. I want them to learn to love God and love church. I want to help a middle schooler that came in and knows nobody else in this room to feel comfortable and welcomed. They've gone from being natural to being supernatural, to living life the way they were designed and intended to live, serving others. And that's why we want to celebrate them. But the reality is, so many of us in this room, how many of you would say you're busy? Like between homework and club sports or drama or music or chores or hanging out with your family, you're busy. See, when we think about busy, it's natural for every single one of us to become busier and busier and busier and busier. Because here's what happens. When you're a little kid, you don't have that many responsibilities. Like, you don't have that many chores. You don't have that much homework. You're not skilled yet in sports or music or the arts. You don't have a ton of friends, so you don't need to hang out and spend time with them. When you're young, you're not that busy. But the older you get, the busier you get. And it's only going to continue as you leave middle school and head into high school and as you go on to become adults. So it's very natural for us to be busy and to say, you know what? My entire day, my entire week, my life is full of things. But if we want to take the step from the natural, the way we just naturally will always tend to be, over to the supernatural, where we're making a supernatural difference, we have to choose to be intentional. And why we're celebrating serving this weekend is because inside of this room, there are students and adults who've said, I'm going to be intentional. I'm going to take 1 hour every single week, and I'm going to use it to serve other people. They could have simply said, man, I'm so busy. If I'm at church for 2 services, I'm going to get a lot less homework done. But they said, no, I'm going to say in my life what matters is being intentional about following Jesus, and I'm going to use an hour every single week to serve others. Whether that's at PVC Kids, whether that's greeting with their parents, whether that's as a middle school mentor serving here. You see, if you want to have a supernatural impact through your life, you have to stop living life the natural way and step over to the supernatural way, the way we were designed and intended to live. Now, a lot of you guys, you're way smarter than me. Like, I know you guys, how many of you guys are in like an AP class of any, or like a advanced class in any way, okay? Everybody just raised your hand. I was never in any of those. I can't handle that stuff. I am not that smart. But some of you, maybe you're really good at science. And so when you hear this next thing, you're going to be like, oh, I could probably explain that a little bit better than you, Pastor Ben. But that's okay, because there's this law inside of science that's called Newton's first law of motion, okay? Now, I already see some heads nodding where people are like, yeah, Newton's first law of motion. I know all about that. Well, this is what it says. Newton's first law of motion says that something, whether a person or a volleyball or something, will stay in one place unless an outside force acts upon it, okay? So basically, this is what it's saying, that you and I, we're going to stay static. We're going to stay in our comfort zone. We're going to stay in one place unless something else comes in and transforms us and moves us into a different place. And here's how this works. When you go into your school, you've got your place that you're comfortable. This group of friends, this activity. When you come here to 678, you've got this place where it's static, you are comfortable. You say, you know what, I'm comfortable over here with other middle schoolers. At your house, I'm comfortable in my room, or I'm comfortable doing these certain things. But see, serving isn't just about our comfort. It's about living out who we were made to be. It's about being a superhero, being supernatural. And so something has to come into our life and has to transform us. The force that I believe that wants to transform you and I into what we were made to be, I believe is God. See, God wants to take us out of our bubble, out of this static state, and he wants to move us into a supernatural, transformational place. And this is what he wants to do through each and every one of us. He looks at your life and he says, you know what, I want to use you to transform the world into a better place. I want to use you to transform Palm Valley Church into a better place. I want to use you, if you will step out of this static, stuck place and into my supernatural, I'm going to use you to transform other people and make the world a better place. But here's the really cool thing. It doesn't just change other people. Because as we step out of our comfort zone, as we step out of our static place, we begin to be transformed ourselves. We begin to become less selfish. We begin to become more others-focused. We begin to enjoy life and begin to realize that there are so many things that could bring us pleasure besides the things that are self-gratifying, besides the things that are all about us. See, God wants to come and he wants to transform us, and I'm so thankful as I look around this room because I can see so many students that have transformed a kid's life. Where there are kids in this other building, and they look at you, and they're so excited, and they run up to you, and they're like, I'm so excited to see you. They give you a hug, and they talk to you, and their favorite thing about church is you, and that's why we celebrate you. I look around this room, and I can see so many mentors who've intentionally said, I'm going to be selfless. I'm going to put students first. I'm going to be intentional. I'm going to take time away from my family, away from my career, away from rest, away from my hobbies, and I'm going to be intentional in letting God use me, transform me, and allow me to be able to transform others. You see, Jesus, he had this statement that he said, and it's written there inside of your notes. It's Matthew 23:11, and this is what Jesus had to say. Jesus said, the greatest among you must be a servant. The most super person is a person that serves. That's why I want to celebrate serving. I celebrate you. I am so thankful for you. But for every person in this room, you know where we get our greatest example of serving? We get our greatest example of serving from Jesus. Because see, Jesus was literally God in a bod. Jesus looked down, he saw all the brokenness, he saw the dumb things that we've chosen to do, and he's in heaven, and he came down to earth, and he served you and I. Incredibly selfless, incredibly intentional, incredibly transformational. Jesus came because he wanted to change our life and allow us to live the life to the full, the life of purpose and significance that he had planned for us. And so in order to live that life, all you have to do is begin a relationship with him. If you've never done that, I want to give you that opportunity right now. If everybody could just close your eyes just for a brief moment. Just close your eyes so you have this private moment just to think. If you have never begun a relationship with God, Jesus left heaven to come down to earth, to give his life, to die on the cross, to rise again, so that he could have a relationship with you. And I don't think there could be anything more incredible today at the celebration of serving than if you began a relationship with God. And so I want to ask you right now, have you begun that relationship? If not, all you have to do in your mind or heart is just talk to God. He can hear your thoughts. He can feel your emotions. He knows everything about you. And just let him know, God, I believe in you. God, I want a relationship with you. God, will you forgive me for all of the things that I've ever done? God, will you come into my life and transform me? Now, if everybody could look up, if you just had that conversation, then at the very bottom of your notes, there's this thing called a connection card. You can mark on there, I began a relationship with God, and we will celebrate that with you. Or you can text BEGIN to 62953. Maybe you don't have a phone. Maybe write that down on your notes right there. Borrow your parents' phone. And when you text that to us, we're going to ask you a couple quick questions, but we want to provide a gift to you to tell you that we are so excited that you made that choice today, because we really believe that is one of the best choices that you could ever make. Now, oftentimes, we would be wrapping up service right now, but I got a couple more things for you, and this is what I want to ask you to do. I want everybody, pull out your notes. Go ahead and pull out your notes right here. They look a little different than they normally do, right? And we're going to read this sentence together that's at the top, and I'm going to give you some explanation about what we're going to do with that. This is what it says. Celebrate the difference serving has made in your life by sharing your experiences serving or the impact someone else serving has made in your life. This is what I want to ask you to do right now. For this portion of service, I want you to think about it. How has God allowed you to transform somebody else's life? Maybe you served over in PVC Kids, and you can think of this relationship that you've built with this little kid, and you're like, man, it's been so amazing, because as I served in nursery or toddler or preschool, I found out that I was like developing this really love for all these little kids, or I was learning that I need to do these certain things. And I want you to take a moment, and for some of you, you're going to write down there, I love serving with kids because it's cool. That's okay. Write something on there. Or if someone, one of the mentors here in this room, one of the mentors that's led a small group, that led your Go Missions trip, one of the mentors that's been there for you, you sat down your very first week and you were all by yourself, and that mentor came and sat next to you, and you said, you know what? This mentor has really meant a lot in my life. They've been a real encouragement in my life, or I really appreciate their serving every single weekend. You can write that on there too. If you know their name, great, put it on there. If you don't know their name, just say, there was a mentor that. And share those stories with us, because at the end of service, what we're going to do is we're going to go and we're going to tape everybody's stories right up there on the wall. So we want you to be included. We want you to be able to share with us your experience with serving. So begin to write those, and while you're writing those, I'm going to have a conversation with a couple of incredible people. So I'm going to invite them up here to the stage right now. Charity and Trinity, would you guys come on up here and join me up here on stage? Yeah, give them a big round of applause. Welcome. Thank you so much, ladies. What we're going to do is we're just going to have a quick conversation. I am so thankful for both of these women, and they are truly people that we want to celebrate their service. And so I'm going to ask them a couple quick questions, but before I do, could you go ahead and just introduce yourself to all of us, and then we'll go start here, and then we'll come across.
Yeah, so my name is Sheridan. I serve here at 678 at 8:15, but I'm also a facilities worker here too, so I'm here during the week just cleaning and, doing my thing.
Absolutely. There we go. Thank you.
I'm Trinity. I'm a junior, and I serve here, as you may have seen, for 678 in HSM as a student worship leader.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the really cool things is, like, every person in this room, when we first take a step into serving, there's something that moves us. Remember, we talked about how we're static. We're in one place until something comes in and transforms us and moves us to begin to serve. And so for some of the students that are here, I would love for them to hear what it was that caused you, Charity. What caused you to start serving for the very first time, and what was that like?
Yeah, so actually I started coming to Palm Valley when I was in high school. and I didn't know anyone, but I went on the high school Go missions trip, and it was amazing. Again, like you were saying, it is supernatural. When the Lord changes your heart, it is night and day, and you need Him in order to want to serve, and that's absolutely what happened in my life. I was changed by the Holy Spirit, and He put it on my heart to start serving in 678, but at first I started serving in kids ministry, which was amazing. I was a dancer, which was really, really awesome. But from dancing, I ended up doing large group, which was really cool too. I had opportunities to go on missions trips, which was amazing. And I ended up here and serving with middle schoolers, and I've loved it ever since.
Sheridan has absolutely, yeah, thank you so much. You're awesome, dude. Thank you. Sheridan has done such an awesome job of just being available to be used by God. I love how, like, for some of the students in the room, maybe they serve right now in nursery, toddler, or preschool, and they're like, am I going to serve here the rest of my life? But God will use you in different ways as you're available to Him. Sometimes God will open up new opportunities, and God allows you to use different things. And He took you from serving on the dance team to large group to missions trips to Africa to now on the stage. Just giving Him all the praise. That is awesome. Thanks you so much for sharing that with us. What about you, Trinity? What was the first time that you felt that you were called or being encouraged to serve?
Well, I used to go to middle school here, and I remember seeing other people on the stage, and I had never known that someone could sing for something so passionately, and I already loved music. So after joining, it really just became addictive, and it really gets just ingrained in your body. You become one with serving. It really becomes like with you a lot, and I couldn't stop. I love it. I love feeling that passion for God as well.
That's all. I'm so thankful for students, how they use like their abilities. Like you used, I can't sing, guys. If I stood next to you singing this morning, I'm sorry. It probably didn't sound very good. But when Trinity sings, when some students sing, when we use our abilities to serve, like amazing things happen. So I'm so thankful for you and all of the students on our worship team that use their talents and abilities to serve God. But the cool thing is, not only do we have the chance to serve, but other people serve and impact us. And they make that intentional, selfless decision. Trinity, what was maybe a person that over your time here has made a difference inside of your life through their serving?
Well, when I first joined, our leader for worship was David Arona, and now it's Max Swanson, and they both really impacted my life. I remember I had a really, really bad day where it was my first day serving for high school, and I was nervous. I was really scared. I was still in middle school. And I ended up choking on stage, and I completely froze, and I just got too much in my head, and after the song ended, I ran off, and I remember crying in the lobby and just being so embarrassed with myself and so upset with myself. And both David and Max came over to me, and they hugged me, and they picked me up, and they encouraged me, and they told me, this is all for God. This isn't all about you. This is about God, and the fact that you went up there and you did that for God was amazing. And they even gave me a chance to sing it again, and constantly they just keep bringing up my self-esteem and keep encouraging me to do better and be better. So I really appreciate them in my life.
That's awesome. What about you, Sheridan? What was someone that you look back and you're like, man, this person had an impact inside of my life through their supernaturally serving?
Yes, absolutely. So I don't know if you guys know who Jenny Zimwalt is, but she was my high school mentor when I was sitting where you guys were sitting, and she completely changed my life. I didn't know anybody when I first started coming to Palm Valley, like I said before, and it was terrifying. It's so scary being in that seat and not knowing anyone, but it was amazing because she just took me under her wing, and she showed me friends. And as silly as that sounds, it was a big deal to me because I didn't have any. And I remember just doing life with these people, and it was all because she took notice of who I was and made me feel important. And even to this day, we still have that relationship where I can randomly text her, even if I haven't texted her in like 2 months, and she'll reply, and she'll be there for me. And I don't even think she really realizes the impact that she's made in my life, and she continues to make, but absolutely, hands down, her serving impacted me in crazy ways.
Thank you so much for sharing. Like every mentor that's in the room, yeah, go ahead. Every mentor that's in the room, you are making an eternal difference. Whether you know it right now in this moment or not, you don't know what student someday in the future is going to look back and be like, yeah, that was the mentor. That mentor, the simple thing that they did made all the difference. The simple fact that they knew my name, that they welcomed me, made all the difference. And so I want to personally thank every mentor that's in the room. You guys are rock stars. You guys are superheroes in my book. But when we talk about celebrating serving, why do you think serving is something so important to celebrate, Sheridan?
Yeah. So first of all, we're all called to serve. God calls us to serve as a response to just loving him and in who he is, because Jesus, like you said, was the perfect example of what it means to serve. So when we're obedient to God, that absolutely deserves celebration. So that's amazing. But
That's right.
also, we get to be used by the creator of the universe, and that to me is amazing. There's so many things that you're going to do in life, but that is amazing, to be a part of life change. Bless you. To be a part of life change, and to sit back and just watch God do what God does, and to say, I got to be used by God, and he used my gifts, he used my talents, and he changed people's lives because of my obedience to him. And I think that that absolutely deserves to be celebrated.
Completely agree. Great answer. Trinity, why would you say celebrating serving is such an important thing here at Palm Valley Church and PVC students?
I think that serving is so important because we hear all the time up here, like at home, all the time we hear about how God impacts lives and God's message and how he works in people's lives. But when you serve, you really see it firsthand. You get to see so many people just walk their own path with God, and every single person is walking a different one, and it's so grounding and so humbling to hear when someone talks to you about their walk with God. It makes you feel less alone. It really opens your eyes to just how big and powerful God really is.
Man, awesome answers. Hey, can we give them a big round of applause to thank them for coming and sharing with us their stories?